Yo, happy Monday. Happy Celsius Galaxy Vibe Day. Who knows? We'll see. What an open to the most bullish month of the year. Yes, I said it. Did you not know it? If you didn't, well, now you do. So, anyways, welcome, guys. Welcome to anybody that's new to the channel. Appreciate you guys hopping in. Let me see what we got. We got a handful of people in. If you have comments, questions, whatever, go ahead and dump them in the chat. I will pull up tickers towards the end, and I think Sharky might be joining us today. We'll see. But hope everybody had a great weekend. We are at the lunch hour. This is the time of the week where we kind of sit back, and take a look across the board, see what's going on. What do we have to look forward to moving forward for the week? What was important last week? And kind of just the general Monday morning type of vibe, right? So if you come from the corporate world, this is the time. All hands meeting. Everybody jump in. Give the crew a minute to do so. But yeah, I think this week, what I put up here, Roy and Katie strikes again, deep DFV. Man, so I'll say this one I can actually get behind. If you don't know me, like I was like pre-GameStop, like sub 10 AMC, sub 250, whatever. We sent in our group before all this, right? But CHWY's one where we liked at 16. And this move is, I think, regardless of what this guy says here, I think this is a decent shot when this base is out, regardless, right? So I can actually get behind this one, not just the Cohen thing, but something that's way priced low. It clear beats last quarter, but I would just say don't chase the FOMO here. It's probably not ideal. If you want a YOLO, FAFO, whatever, that's fine. We're coming into a pretty critical spot, but this one could be a little different because it was kind of doing this anyways, even without whatever he decided to say just recently. So let's see what we got on deck here. I think I don't know if Sharky said he may not. Yeah, he's pinging me. Nah. It's a light week this week. So won't so what's up, man? Won't chase him down. Moving forward as we get into this, what I'll say is this is the beginning of what statistically is the most bullish, like 15 plus days historically in the market. So more so for the Qs than anything else. So I would focus there a little bit. And I would say that it's a very lightly traded week. It doesn't have to be this week. We could base out this week. This week statistically is like the very, very teeny tiny beginning of it. But it should continue for quite a bit. So I think there are a couple trades on deck. There's some serious catalyst watches right now that are clearly already playing out. Tesla, hello, Robotaxi Day. Buying the rumor still. This is still buying the rumor. Tomorrow, and on the channel right now, Tesla deliveries start set to fall for the second straight quarter. This is tomorrow. And what I'll say about Tesla is that I am firmly a believer that just like Apple was at like 165, something like that, is that, the market, and I think the market's ahead of this one already. The comps, what Tesla's going to be reporting comparing to what they had in the prior quarters is going to be a very easy comp. So moving forward, this it's the great Tesla rebound, I think. So I'll just call it what it is. Let me move this with these things. I think could be the great Tesla recovery. Let's just say that clearly on its way already. So just some quick recaps. Last week, from a data perspective, we got durable goods month over month, GDP growth rate. So this is important. GDP growth rate. This is before we had a 3.4. If the economy is growing too fast, that's not really good for inflation. That means we're going to be spending a lot more than we were anticipating. And what's up, Nick? Bud Bucker in the house. And a 1.4, which was at consensus. So in parentheses, these are the consensus numbers. This is significantly lower than the prior number coming out. So this is actually really good for the market, specifically for inflation, believe it or not. Kind of like, we'll call it bad news is good news. But this is good news. Core PCE came out. That's the biggest number for the week. That's the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. This is the actual spending. So growth rate, GDP growth rate is like implied spending, corporate. But PCE is personal consumption expenditures. This is at the retail level, at the consumer-based level. What are we actually seeing from an inflation perspective? Prior at 0.3%, coming in at expectations at 0.1%. And this is when we started to get some of these headlines that were like, okay, we're seeing some consistent, sustained movement to the downside where, this is where I would say, Tom Lee's probably right. Inflation could be falling off pretty hot and heavy regardless, and opposed to what some of these other analysts and what have you are probably saying. Personal income coming in at 0.2 versus 0.1 prior against a 0.3 consensus. Middle of the road. Same thing with spending. Spending income, both slightly down, but higher than the last month. That's good. Consumer sentiment, this was kind of the one that caught me off guard. Consumer sentiment, and this is how people are actually feeling out in the real economy. This was way low when I looked at it. The estimate 65.8, coming into Friday. That's this was a little bit off. So I saw that and we're like, oh, that's too low of a consensus number. But sure enough, we came in 68.2, pretty solid overall. And then we get into some of these headlines. So a couple headlines from last week, couple headlines from coming up that we need to look for. The Biden debate, the debate, man. Oh my God. I don't know. There's so many Twitter things going across right now. It's insane. Kind of funny, kind of not. I don't really know what to say to that. But what I will say is if you're not thinking about putting together a political type of basket of stocks, what stocks would do best for Biden, what stocks or Democrats, what stocks will do best in a Trump or Republican win, this is clearly where you'll start to see some of these things happen. So if you didn't know, Trump is like the crypto president. What started to pop off last weekend, right when this happened, crypto. And so you should know now that's the definitive, this is the trade. This is a trade. To me, it was always like the layup trade. Easy layup trade, crypto long in a Trump win, for a Trump win. That's for sure. Not so much for a Democrat win. Another, side note, Tesla might be the biggest layup of them all, because I would say, for Democrats, EVs are probably going to be decent, good for EVs. But for Tesla behind Trump, that's probably it's a win-win regardless. So there's a lot of things going for Tesla right now, for sure. I think that we're beginning to walk into this re-rating situation. So Tesla up significantly today. How much is it up right now? Over 210. We saw this breakout coming a mile away. 6.5% on the day. What a day. I don't know if you can. I don't know about chasing short-term options now, but if you get a pullback tomorrow off these delivery numbers, just know that Robotaxi Day is coming, August 8th. You're still buying the rumor. I don't know if it's going to be a sell the news event, but you're still buying the rumor. And I quite frankly, I don't think the market cares that much about how many Tesla is selling right now. The comps are so small right now. It's kind of ridiculous. So a beat, for whatever reason, expectations are low for these Tesla delivery numbers, and they could fall, right? And I think, that said, it's going to be, that'll be one that could be a potential buying opportunity. Holy crap, we are running. I'm telling you guys, most bullish month of the year starts right now. Walgreens boots, we said this earlier, probably going to zero, just not a thing. Not really a whole lot of reasons to go into Walgreens right now. They're not even like CVS, where they don't have the partnership with like a Target or what have you. And the CEO is quitting now officially, when the planning to sell Walgreens just didn't go through. Nobody really wants this thing. So yeah, if you're a Walgreens investor, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Not good news for sure. The good news though on the software front is that some of these software companies they've been getting really, really low, and I think what's true is that it's going to be a while for them to, be able to show some ROI after they invest this heavily into some of the cloud stuff. But at the same time, the market is a forward-looking vehicle. So a couple weeks ago, that's a true story. A couple weeks ago, that was probably like fully priced in. And now they're like, maybe it's a little bit low. So you're seeing a lot of these bids on the IGV type companies, Snowflake, Mongo, things like that. And what's also true is that if you're waiting for them to actually show a profit and actually have some good news come out, you're going to be too late. The market today, it just moves way too fast. Stark, yes, I will give my opinions on Rivian. The one more couple headlines. Let me just hit this, and I'll get to Rivian. Troubling disclosure for Sava. If you didn't know Cassava Sciences. This is just brutal. This thing's probably a zero also. Just getting shellacked. Apparently, there's some serious shadiness going on. DOJ, SEC type investigations. Be very careful. High risk over there. So be very Sava still getting crushed. It's this very squeezy name, just so you know. But apparently, I think they like manufactured some data about their product. So sketchy to say the least. And we talked about Tesla. So Stark. I like Stark. A lot of these biotechs are like this, right? So people might take a flyer on biotech, and biotech is some of the hardest stocks to trade. You have to sit there for years sometimes before anything happens, and then all of a sudden one day, boom, it's up 100, 200, 300, 400, 5%. And it just goes, right? But it's kind of like out of nowhere seemingly. So very tough to trade. So let's see. So we pull back your pullback on Tesla could be tomorrow if they do not come through on deliveries. But I did say we talk about Rivian. So if you didn't know, Rivian, it has slowly become the highest selling large vehicle in California, period. Not just for EVs, but across all vehicles. Now I'll say, you don't sell a whole lot of F-150s in California. It's just not the spot for it. But let me pull up a chart for you. There's a couple things on Rivian. So the thesis for Rivian is that, look, Rivian, the juice was absolutely worth the squeeze at $10, $11, sub $11. Absolutely. No question whatsoever. Prices as a overly distressed company, in my mind, it wasn't like that bad. But it was bad, but it's not like that bad. There's always a chance that this company goes bankrupt. So do not, that's always there, right? Got to do your own due diligence. It was this last quarter for me that kind of changed the story. So beforehand, they were doing a lot of like raises. So they're having to dilute current shareholders. That was a potential risk, but I'm like, okay, we already did that. Look what happened. That was at like $17. This last quarter though, I mean, it's a beat in revenue. And this is when things started to turn around. The problem with Rivian has been the cost, right? So not making a lump, it's margins, right? Their cash burn is massive. They just released this R2 and now R3 coming, product lines where honestly, a massive decrease in costs. So that's going to help profits quite a bit. In addition to like more sales, that I don't know if that dynamic's going to come through, right? So it's all about the margins, but the revenue is going to be like that light at the end of the tunnel. They're working on their own version of FSD also, by the way. And part of the deal with Volkswagen is to actually sell that software stack to Volkswagen and implement that into Volkswagen vehicles. So think of FSD. This is never going to be a Tesla. That was not the trade here. Just to be crystal clear, Rivian long was never to be Tesla 2.0, but at whatever this market cap is, even at 14 billion, it was sitting at $10 billion market cap. The possibility of Rivian being a $100 billion company 5-10 years from now, if it survives, that's there, right? So that's a 10x, and so that was the logic. As long as they don't go bankrupt. Shark is in the house. What's up, bud? I'll bring you up in just a second. So that's there. I think what happens here is that this becomes what we call a show me story. What you do here is that you go from this news scandal up to here, and you go into this. This is a 50% fib retrace. You're right, or 618. So, I said to our group, 1350 right in here is probably going to be that baseline where she, like the low end, give or take, where she stalls out. Remember, if this is a series of highs and lows, where's the next high or low going to be? It could be as low as $12, guys, but anywhere in this, so high, lower high, lower low, lower low, high, high, higher high, where's the next higher low going to be? It's anywhere in here, quite frankly. But I don't think she breaks out at all right now. I think she stays in this kind of like chop zone between 16 and 1350. And that's until earnings, which is probably going to be a catalyst trade for them. So earnings has to hit. They're gonna be looking for better margins, and I think the higher sales is going to be a surprise for the street. But the street's mostly going to be looking at gross profit. So that's how I see it. This is not a short-term trade. It never was. But hopefully that helps you guys. There was if you want to pull up their investor day meeting, it's like 3-something hours. You can watch it on 2x speed on YouTube. But they went pretty in depth on that product set too. All right, so I see Sharky. I'm gonna pull this off. Let's see where we go. What's up, bud? He's in the house. Sharknado is here. Where you at, Sharky? What's up, man? He's in. How you doing today, man?
Well, it was a bit crazy in the morning. These were very violent candles on tech.
Yeah.
And but now we finally actually started a decent trend there. So I got off a nice little long.
I took one trade long. That was NVIDIA at the lows. She looks good so far. But I think what I wanted to do from here was kind of go over the seasonal things. We hit some headlines. Did we not hit anything that you were looking at?
No, I was just really coming by to say hello and to support.
You're the best, man.
I figured
Sharky's the best.
But come say hi.
We love you, dude. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do, right? So this is just my timeline, really quick. I did want to put this out there, right? So seasonality, this is important. On the slide I had this. This is where we are. This is a 4-year cycle for presidential cycle. Typically, the stats are we have this kind of first half of the year. The second half does extend, but this is in the presidential cycle, not just basic seasonality. So of the 4-year cycle, this last back half of this year 4 is aside from year 3, which if you actually go back in the charts, this is matched pretty well. This is actually a pretty good push into Q4. That said, specifically for seasonality, it's the Qs, right? So the Qs on average, let me see if I can move this up here. I did grab a trend spider chart. The Qs is actually stronger slightly than SPY, seasonally speaking. And again, I'm at Trend Spider here looking at all these. You just go to monthly, and on average, 3.8% for the month this week. In the weekly perspective, we are here. On average, it's a 0.5% for the Qs. Nothing crazy. Is next week 1.5% on average, and then next week, the week after, another 0.5%, and the week after that, another 1.3%. So next week is typically the biggest week. And of these tickers, if you didn't know, Apple has the strongest of those trends. And this is like an annual trade. For me, Apple into 4th of July weekend.
I love this feature that they added in. It's really cool.
Right? I've always known this, right? But having the stats here,
yeah, it's nice to visuals just to see.
90% of the time over the last 19 years, Apple has moved up 8% for the month of July, right? So what does that mean? Weekly, like I said, guys, this week is not always the best, but it's 1.17 on average. Next week, 1.68. The week after that, 2.5%. So it's like a 3-week trend or more for Apple. From here, giddy up and go. Look at the chart, you guys. I mean, someone added me and they were laughing at my stats. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I don't know what to say. Come at me in a month and then you tell me what this looks like. Regardless, right? Those are seasonal stats, but the truth is, even if I'm on a 4-hour chart, does the chart support it? Yeah, you betcha it does, right? So this is just an Apple. Tell me this isn't what it is. Very crystal clear. TrendSpider, if you're around, this is your little pattern. Whatever you want to call it, inverse head and shoulders, flag, cup and handle, meets all those criterias. Yeah, I think we extend, right? Wyckoff, whatever. But I think this is hard to deny that the chart doesn't support the seasonal trend. So anyways, that's what I had on this one. So the cues are there. They're decent, but they're not nearly as good. Quite frankly, all indices do really well. It's wild. But that brings us into this week, and what are we looking for right now, right? So today we got ISM manufacturing PMI, pretty decent. Under the radar, probably not talked about a whole lot. We have two things. We have a Powell speech tomorrow, and we have JOLTS after that. So if you didn't know, yes, we actually do have a Powell speech on the calendar. Let me see if I can get this tomorrow at market open. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Be cautious, be careful. And then Wednesday, again, like I said, under the radar, you might not have known this. FOMC minutes hit tomorrow, or Wednesday, sorry. And so I think these are going to be very, very important moving forward. This last round, and specifically for PCE, there were a lot of Fed presidents actually starting to change their tone, right? And I will say that if this is the catalyst to go, it could be the beginning of small cap season. I don't know. That's typically not until November lows, but it's possible that this sparks the rally in the small cap sector. So if you start seeing, and what the analysts are going to be doing, they're going to be looking at the notes of that last FOMC meeting, and they'll be like, how many people are really hawkish, really dovish? Are there any hawks that are now turning doves? That's specific, right? Are there any hawks that are turning doves? And if that's the case, well, that could really ignite the small cap sector. So that's a big one for sure. Man, Apple is just continuing to rip. And then Wednesday we get ADP, which is the precursor to non-farm payroll day. And then Thursday, happy 4th of July. Sharky, you got plans? He's setting off like a small barrage of something near his house. So everybody got to Florida. See what's up to Sharky for his whatever, for your explosion day. Man, we used to have fireworks at the beach in California. They just don't do that anymore. Do you guys have fireworks out there? Are you by the water? He's muted. Sharky can't hear. Anyways, Friday we get non-farm payrolls. This is the day, if you don't know, this is the day where you mark the high and the low. You trade this day just like a regular day. But more often than not, this Friday, the first Friday of every month, will actually mark the higher low for that month, right? So if this is July, whatever the low is, you can trade it like a regular day. It may end up being the low for the month, or it may end up being the high for the month. Seasonally speaking, it says we go higher, even with the presidential cycle, but we'll be open-minded. So what we want to see is next week continuing to trade over Friday's high. If we're inside of Friday's range, that high and the low, then you're still range bound. If we are inside Friday's range next week, I would expect that low this Friday is the last low for July. But that's how I'd play it. That's what I would say. And other than that, Sharky, you ready for this? Did you read any of Miss Cleo's droppings? Miss Cleo's droppings. Let's go. We can do it. I think we're just about ready. Where's my thing? Here we are. Look at that. I got glitchy on my end. Well, this is Miss Cleo's reading. Oh my God, I didn't even look. Is this did you look at these cards at all? Miss Cleo's on a good one.
That's scary.
What the?
That's scary.
I go on this rant about seasonality. I swear, clearly I didn't look at these. You know, maybe she's off a rocker. I might inverse Miss Cleo here, but let's see. So this is the 10 of swords. Probably one of the worst looking cards that you can catch. But I don't know what it means. You know, and then we go into the days of the week. Sorry. Then we go into the days of the week. So Knight of Wands, Page of Wands, Ace of Swords. Thursday, she got right, is off. And then we have a 2 of Swords. So lots of swords and a couple wands. Ace of Swords. That actually looks good. So let's see. So let's see what she says. So for the theme, and then for anybody that's new here, this is for like comedic relief, but it's crazy to us how right she is sometimes. So we do read it. Sometimes she calls this ebb and flow like to the T. So anyways, theme card, 10 of Swords. They're going 5, 7, 10 in sword suits, which means it probably gives us, maybe that was the Bears. You think that was the Bears up top, Sharky? Getting struck? The Bears have just died.
I mean, they certainly tried today for a second.
Oh, yeah. No, they tried. It's not happening, man. It ain't happening. Let's see what she says. Since most of the moves have been up, it's very likely that we see top in action here and conclusion of this bull wave in the short term. However, a breakout or major rally day could signal a different kind of ending. That would be an end for the sell pressures. There it is. There it is. There it is. So she is calling a possible end to the Bears. They would have to give up if it just extends, right? I mean, you'd have to, right? I don't know, man. All-time highs is just not really bearish. They're just not. Anyways, you know, so it'll be important to watch for clues this week. I think we see more chop than rally this week, and we have lots of wands and swords to set the tone. Let's see what the daily cards have to say. Do we care that much about Monday? I mean, it's mostly over. King of Wands brought red, now Knight of Wands to follow suit. This could hint regression, positive start. I think we probably got more of the same. Fiery and Knights are very strong, so look for a strong start with some big swings that lead to a slowing in the afternoon. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I would play trend in the morning, but don't get shaken out. Did you get shaken out? Trend in the morning. I don't know. See, she already lost me on this one. Trend in the morning was to the downside. But don't get shaken out. Close by afternoon if day traded. Yeah. Okay. So trend. All right. Trend in the morning to the downside, and then afternoon-ish was a flip. Tuesday, Page of Wands. Okay, now this is starting to get interesting. We're going from King, Knight to Page, which is clear series in reverse direction. Reverse direct. Okay, she's saying upside, right? It's a reversal from the King selling last Monday, so it's more of the same selling the Wands have been bringing. Use Monday as a clue here. If Monday finds its way positive, then I think we're moving in reverse of the King, which may rally Tuesday, Wednesday. Miss Cleo saying rally Tuesday, Wednesday. Pages do bring new adventures, but they are low energy. So this move today could be a setup for Wednesday, which Wednesday is back-to-back cards, the new signal, that signal new journeys, and also a return to the suit of swords. This is one of the strongest cards. Ace of Swords is one of the strongest cards in the deck. It's positive more often than not, which means a Monday through Wednesday, negative, any negativity Monday through Wednesday could be reversed. Play this like a trend card in the opposite direction of the wands either way. I don't know. Don't fade it. It will probably be one directional. So she's at least saying trend day. I really have no idea what direction she's saying there. You know, take it for what it is. Thursday, we are closed. Friday, 2 of Swords, Ace to 2 could be start of a new series, in which case I expect continuation of Monday's price action. This card goes this card does signal indecision and feelings of being stuck between two directions. I'm sure you can figure out what that means. Expect low energy. So we take Friday off. Actually, so Friday is probably going to be the lowest volume day of the week, period, right? So you're going to be off 4th of July. The market is probably going to be completely flat.
No one's in the office on Friday.
I would just go ahead now, tell you could probably take Friday off unless, I mean, I take that off. I take that back. I'm going to show up for Friday because it's a non-farm payroll day. I have to show up. I'm going to show up, but I'm not going to expect much. But if I show up and I get something, it's going to be a low volume move, which might not be, if it's an upside move, there might be no sellers to be found because everybody's gone. If it's a downside move, there might be no buyers to be
right.
found.
It could, yeah, that's true. It could be one of those things where it actually ends up being just a nice slow trend day.
I will
It
show up.
just goes because there's nothing
I will
going
show
on.
up. Yeah, I'll take early trade. If it works out and we see continuation, I'll hang. But if we don't, I'm going to be very, very quick to pull the ejection cord and see you later. Bye. Because if there's not continuation, it could just be a completely flat day, right? So this is the final day to judge what our 10 of swords means. 10 of swords. Okay. Friday's the final. Just see, this is what she's getting weird, man. I expect Wednesday through Friday action to continue into the week from some kind of pivot energy. I'll just say, so okay, and her recap. So tricky week that brings fiery trend on Monday. Love it. Similar energy Tuesday. So she's saying that this Monday back half continues into tomorrow. Okay. Wednesday attempts to pivot and change direction. Attempts, but maybe fail. Hopefully fail. Friday brings chop and grind. We'll see, Miss Cleo. I don't know about that one. It's possible. That's it for now. Have a great week, all. That's what she says. All right, cool. So that's it for this one. If you guys have questions or tickers, go ahead and hop in. Sharky, I'm gonna give you the stage here, dude. Did you have anything that you want to call out beforehand? Anything you're watching? Any stuff that you have on deck?
Yeah, well, I'm actually about to post it. I was watching Mara, and I believe I would have mentioned that to you even as well a few weeks ago on the daily chart. Now really making that confirmation move. I was kind of front running the potential wedge move, but now it has actually broken out of it. So
I think you're good to go, man. I think I think that I'll just say this. I think that this Biden situation, as long as, so it may not, this would be a tricky-ish one, but crypto as a whole, I just talked about it, right? I think Trump is the crypto president. If there's more, so Biden goes and he backs off and he sits down with his family, and it's going to be like, it's a process, right? Like you don't just drop out of an election. It just doesn't happen that way. It's a process. So he goes, he talks to his family. They say, oh, we got your back. Stay the course, blah, blah, blah. And then someone somewhere is going to be like, no, dude, I actually think you should drop out. And then he's going to go, okay, I'm out. It's going to be something like that. So between now and then, you might get this little chop. But if that happens, this whole sector is off to the races. I mean, the whole sector, right? So if I were just to look at, and if you're going to trade Mara, or Coinbase or whatever, it's ideal to look at, it's ideal to look at Bitcoin, right? And so now this setup on Bitcoin is actually pretty bullish, right? So what's true when you look at these charts and you say, oh, they tried to push it down, it didn't make a new low, right? So where's that higher low going to be? Sub 60, I think, is that liquidity grab area. That was the theme for the week last week, liquidity grab week. I think you could kind of stay the course with that. But if they can't push it lower, at the very least, you have to go higher to get more sellers, right? And so right now, Bitcoin defending the 200-day simple moving average. This is the daily. Beautiful liquidity grab here, right around that 58 and change level. If you didn't have it, sorry. We talked about this on Monday's Spaces with Wolfie last Monday. I thought it was a dip buy for sure. I just don't know if it's going to be the one that's going to take you to the moon, right? But I think that this setup for Bitcoin rally in general is a Q4 thing, not a Q3 thing, not typically. But the closer that we get to the end of this election season, and the more likely that it looks like that Trump will start to win, we will very likely see that anticipation hit the street, and it'll show up right here in Bitcoin. Personally, I like Ethereum a little bit better. This cycle from an Ethereum perspective is going to be, it's even better. Bitcoin had a lower low, or had a low that was deeper of a pullback than Ethereum. I think this is where you're going to get your beta. I like ETHE here, anywhere near 30. Mara setting up. I mean, this is a clean breakout here. You're kind of in this pullback like target area. So you
can't get in here, but now that it broke the downtrend, I'm going to wait for it to.
Yeah. So usually for me, I'm looking at this kind of stuff, right? So if we have this, and then what I'll do is I'll probably like drop back. So if you get a retest of this, probably anywhere in this area, 21s,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's so too precise is not good, right? But anything so you might miss something. But if you get a pullback like this on whatever news, you know, and you see this holding like
Yeah.
that is definitively a long. This is a bigger long than this is up here, by the way, right? This is a bigger long than this is, or than this is.
Yeah.
Me, right?
Yeah. That's
Even
what I
though
look
it's higher, this is, if you see this kind of price action, this is the absolute best case scenario that you want to see for continuation to the upside, holding that broken downtrend.
It's making me drool just picturing it.
Yeah. I like that one. All right, I'm gonna appreciate you, Sharky. I'm gonna scroll through this chat here, see if there's oh, did you want, let me get you, where is it? Oh no, baby. He's in. Appreciate you, man. Promo. So really quick, so where's my oh, later, man. So for SPY, since Marco's asking about this, based on the flow I'm seeing, SPY could hit 540, maybe even fill 536.7 gap by Tuesday, Wednesday, the latest Powell Jolts ADB. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I at 536/7 gap. Oh, you're looking downside. So here's how it would work, right? So if this is an average week's range and we trend, upside target 552 on SPY. That's right here, an average week's range. If this morning's open is the high for the week, an average week's range is right into, Marco, into that target that you have right there. So it's gonna be 536.90 is that NFP level. If you don't know, just so you know, you should know by now. If you chart your NFP levels, when we get into NFP like we're going to, and this is what happens, right? So here, these NFP levels, I'm on a daily, you mark the high and the low. If you have, you know, multiple days closing above or below, then you know that's the prevailing trend, right? So here's this, when you're inside an NFP days range, just know you're inside. It's likely that this ends up being the low, but if it does, as long as you're inside, you expect this. It's not until here where you start to think, okay, what, boom, you're definitely going. Any type of retest moving forward on an NFP level, that's your long. Bing, right? These are long. You got another NFP here. Oops, you get another, stop, pause. You get another NFP level, Jesus, and it reset, right? So high, low, you're inside the range. You get 1 day close below, 2 day break below. This is a big one. And then you'll typically go to the next level. And then you get one more NFP day, which ends up being this one. You have a full open and close outside. You go level to level, 1, 2, just like that. This is how they work, pretty much to a T every time, right? And you get these retests sometimes, boom. What happens? These are massive, right? Fundamental event, creating a technical level, stop. Inside day. So sometimes it's not the breakout day. We don't typically like to swing through post NFP until you get a continuation, 1, 2, and then you're continuing, right? And I think that's where we are live. So, but that's what I'm saying. So those Fridays are typically the high or the low. This is the low for the month. And when you get them, this is one word. This is the high for the month, right? That's the high for that month. And you just continue going lower, right? And that's how it works, guys. So anyways, that's the NFP course. We'll see. Let me get back to where we are. All right. So, I mean, I would say for now, look, if you get that kind of liquidity grab, that's going to be, Marco, if you, for SPY to be like this, that has to be catalyst driven. So that would only happen like on a Friday. Because right now you don't have any catalysts that are going to say that that's going to go down. For right now, you're just looking at this retest of this prior breakout. And what's true is you can't press it lower. They got to go higher at least to create, like, to grab more buyers. All right. So CHWY, I want to see CHWY. I will take a look at CHWY. I like CHWY. I like the spot. So you're at the 20-day simple moon average right now. Excuse me. Just from a technical perspective, you're probably pulling into this right here, right? So this is that, regardless of DFV, right? You have this area where these people bought, previously. We don't know is, did they just sell? If they just sold into that, then it could come in a little bit deeper, and then you're looking at this 23 type level right into here. That's kind of what this looks like. But we'll see. I think you gotta wait for the close on these kind of things. So the close is going to be tell, be your bigger tell for sure. You have this low volume pocket. If this holds, we don't need to worry about that low volume pocket. But if it does not, you know, it is what it is. Can you take a look at A&F and Roku? So A&F, this looks, I mean, so not an options trader typically on. Well, so I tried this. It's okay. It's okay. This actually looks pretty solid, but the thing that I would be mostly concerned about right here is whatever happened on this breakdown level. You're coming into some overhead resistance. Very bullish scenario or like season right here for A&F. Might be a little overstretched though. So this is your little volume shelf right here. This is a high risk long at this moment right here, right now. It's very high risk, but it looks solid. So high risk meaning like you want to get short dated and you either get it or you don't. This doesn't look like the spot that I would want to go like into heavy long dated stuff or equity right now. Because if it rejects, then you're rejecting one more time. You come back to that 173, 175 type level. But you know, confirmation here would actually look a little bit like this. Let's see. Up, over, come back, rest somewhere in there, and then hold. And that's gonna be your best case scenario for A&F. So I'd either wait for it to go a little bit higher, or if you're already in it, then I would just move my stops up and trail this out as you go. And then once it makes this big push through, if you are already in it, then I would scale right into here, out, and then look for this to hold, and then reload. That's what that would look for like for me. So, and Roku. So Roku looked good last I checked. Is she gone, man? I think you're chasing here definitively if you want to look for net new money. So here's the issue with Roku is you're right into overhead resistance. These are, hopefully you're already in both of these, because right here, right now, they're both kind of chasey. And so you have this huge like supply that whoever might have been buying in here and got caught. They were selling here. They were selling here. Now we just need to see, are they still around, and will they be selling here again? That's around $65, $64.84. So I think that's what you're looking at on Roku. Otherwise, you want to wait for these things to kind of base these things as in these SMAs to base, and you'll start to get this. So your dip buys on Roku, which I did probably done going down, are actually going to be right in here for that retest, for another retest, right in that 60-ish level, which is very squeezy. But you know, if you're in Roku or you trade Roku, so just be cautious. Otherwise, I would wait again until you're in the clear of all this. These guys are way up here. I mean, this is a long time to wait, but it kind of is what it is. It's a toughie. Move up here. Short term. This is how you do it. Short term. You look at yesterday's high, right? Every one of these we call a breaker structure. You want to see your stock make a series of higher highs and higher lows. And as long as it's doing that, then you're okay, right? You could just kind of trade it through like trail it out, if you will, is what we would like to say. And you see this kind of like uptrend channel. I'm going to use this blue line, and I'll make this a little bit thicker so you can see it. So this is yesterday's high. And then you're essentially going to say, here's going to be my stop, right? And you just trail out, this is your stop, prior day low. And right now, so your stop is 59. If it breaks that, then you're going to retrace this, and you're probably going to fall in that 57 type area. Or maybe not 59, but yeah, $60, 59, 65. I wouldn't call it 60 even. But you want to see it for the most bullish situation hold 69.70. That was yesterday's high. So if it starts to close below that, you're a little bit at risk, because that's really all you're doing is you're just trailing out. This is your last low, your last low, your last low, your last low. You want to be making continual higher lows. So just know this could pull back all the way to 60 and still be valid, but not below whatever that is, 59.45. And this is kind of like your channel up. So 64.65 is that major overhead resistance. I feel iffy long equity shares for sales are declining. Yes, sales are declining for Tesla. I think this is the best thing about it, right? Sales were declining for Apple too, right? When Apple was at 165, 170, sales were declining for Apple. What happened right after that? That's the situation I think Tesla's in, right? If they over deliver with expectations this low, knowing that FSD is just around the corner, this is that setup from a fundamental perspective that creates a massive squeeze, because there will be a lot of people caught off sides, because you're right, Live on Edge, Tesla sales are declining. It's a very tough EV market out there, but the same thing was true about Apple at 165, 170. That's the difference between pricing in a stock for like pricing a stock the way it is today, or knowing that the market is a forward-looking vehicle. Will it change the market multiple it gives to Tesla moving forward? In between now and August 8th, look, we have earnings on the 17th. So there's that. There's a lot of stuff that could happen. All right. So Nike. Zai is asking about Nike. So I was torn on Nike, quite frankly. I almost took a long shot on Nike, but typically 3-day rule, typically this is very extended. This is pretty low, but what's right away. So I think what you can do is you trade off of this. You trade off of Friday's low. It could not break below Friday's low. I think you're okay. We could not break Friday's low. 74.55 becomes your stop. If you crack this, meaning like if you close below 74.55, we are going to go lower on Nike. That is what it is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you're likely going to see just slightly lower. So how much lower? 69, right? So maybe buy that dip at 69. In between 69, any sub 70 liquidity grab you see a Nike, I think that could be a better buy. And I will get behind this one just because there's Olympics coming. So if you see that type of liquidity grab, and when I say liquidity grab, like you'd have to have resting orders at like $69 or $70 just sitting there, because it'll be fast. If it's fast, you get that daily flusher below. It's a quick and dirty. But for right now, this is holding 74.55. And do you really care? Like at that point, if you're looking at Nike now, do you really care 75 versus 70 or 65? It's all about your time horizon. But market forward-looking vehicle. This might be a little bit overdone to the downside. So things tend to overshoot. It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. But it's not something that's going to get me like crazy excited, right? Because like, what are we trading to? We're trading back to 90s, right? That's what we're trading for. There's some Rivian 22. Yeah, I think so. I think this Rivian thing, that's a show me story. That's about earnings. Earnings are on deck. I think that's what we're looking at. You guys asking about Rivian a lot, or too late to go long. I think so. I think, Jose, the Rivian thing that was like 1350, I think is the base low. So if you see it around there, 13s, I don't think you chase it on an up day. Rivian's got a mind of its own. It goes crazy sometimes, but this is where you're like that 1350 level, and it's been so far that low, right? This was a retest of this peak right here. So anybody that was buying in here, they're starting to reaccumulate. That's crystal clear so far to me that they are reaccumulating somewhere around that 1350 level. So I think those are the good spots. This is not one where I think you have to chase. It's not going to get away from you. I don't think it moves anywhere until earnings. I'm still in NVIDIA. Yeah. Did I miss my exit? Well, nah, I think I'm going to hang tight. How does Amazon trend? So Amazon is a clear breakout, if you didn't know. So Amazon, I think, is a crystal clear breakout. This is a weekly chart, all-time highs, week 2. So typically we say this is week 3. 1, 2, 3. So we say 3 white soldiers. It might not be a massive continuation this week because that's kind of played. You have earnings on the 25th, so that will change this whole situation definitively. And an extension here of this consolidation high really kind of puts it up to 207, 206, something like that for an earnings continuation. So maybe an inside week this week. But inside meaning if this was last week here, we trade somewhere inside of last week's range like this and then get a continuation. But that is going higher if you get a daily close open. If you get a daily open and close over 200, she's just gone. So just know that that's what that's going to look like. If you get a daily open and close over this 200, she should be gone. Continuation. And I think Amazon is really interesting here. So it's definite cloud beneficiary for all AI spend and SaaS in general. The Amazon marketplace is gonna capture at least a piece of all of that, no matter who the winner is. And the automation part of the warehouse. Finally, Amazon e-commerce is somewhat interesting to own. But I think this is more accumulation area, right? So up here, this is where they sold earlier. It's one of those, one more time, this is that volume 198.21. That's your trouble spot. She could easily, if you want to chase this, she could easily do this and right back to that 188 easily. So be very cautious, right? If you want to see this continuation, why I was saying, wait for it to have an open and close. It's going to look like this. And then the next day you might have a little dip into it and then base, boom. That's better. This is a better entry. This is how you trade, right? You want to see that higher high continuation. Once we see that higher high continuation, then you look to find where is that next higher low going to be, and it's going to be right in there. Hopefully that helps you guys. Let me see. Where's going bankrupt? Ooh, DraftKings. DraftKings interesting. So DraftKings, DraftKings. So this is a rough spot. That's a rough look for DraftKings too. Did I miss something? Was there some headline on DraftKings? So this is one where we have a series of higher lows. We do, right? And this is on a daily, even on a daily look. It is a series of higher lows, but we also have a series of lower highs very recently. And so what this means is this means consolidation, meaning that it's not ready just yet to go anywhere. It needs to absorb this last from $10 run, and this little pullback is kind of it's there, right? It's available. I think if DraftKings is going to hold, you start to look at these levels. So right here, this kind of liquidity grab area, it can breach this a little bit. I'm looking at 35. So 35, maybe somewhere around that. You want to see DraftKings hold, maybe 34. I don't want to be over precision. It's not good either, just as an aside. But somewhere around 35, you want to see DraftKings hold this. Otherwise, what happens is that if you make a new low, which won't be until the 200-week simple moving average, which is that purple line, if you make a new low, then it's a short on the next lower high. And it's a big short. But we're not there yet. Right now, this is defending. I think you stay the course. I don't know if I would add, but you're investing, just stay the course for now. Nita, look at you guys. Just slapping me with all kinds. So Meta looks like it wants to be the next one to roll. It's not breaking out yet. We have kind of equal. So higher high, still lower high, This is a lower low from here, so you gotta be a little careful. It's in consolidation. The breakout is out here, 523.57. For now, I think that the way that you trade Meta today looks like a long day. So for now, you trade Meta like this is a new trend post this earnings, and I would really just look at this. If you get another down day, and this is your what we call like regression trend. This is maybe even today. This is a setup day. Let's drop down. Yeah, holding the 20. This is where they're accumulating in this kind of trend line, sub that 20-day moving average. If it fails 490 one more time, it's not going to be good. But they try. So the bears tried to push it down a lot, and they have failed. And so what we always say is like, look, if something is holding support, 1, 2, all of these times, this is recent support, and they can't break it, it has to It has to go higher, and it likely has to make a new high to find new sellers, which means it likely has to breach this. I think you're good. I think you're good at 535 in the next week or so, pre-earnings. That's what that looks like to me. I think that's the top of the channel. I don't know that you play for the massive breakout, but I think this looks good. As long as we close at the highs or not on the lows. If we make the lows of the day in the first half of the day, that's bullish, right? If the lows of the day are made in the early trade or early hours of trade, and the highs are made in the back half of the day, towards the end of the day, that's how you know, just from a swing perspective, where the buyers accumulating in the morning, and the morning is the lows, and it's grinding higher throughout the day. That's bullish, right? It's opposite. If the highs are made in the morning and the lows are made in the afternoon, that's when you know, hey, look, the trend is kind of shifting. I got to be a little cautious if I'm a bear, if I'm a bull. All right, now I'll look at Microsoft. All of these look good, by the way. So Microsoft, clearly, this is the beginning of a breakout, right? I say clearly, if you didn't know, we're breaking out here, Microsoft. This was a breakout earlier. This is a heavy extension. You're on the ends of this extension. I think seasonally speaking, this brings all of these to that move. But, 475 looks like it's in the cards, believe it or not. We have earnings season coming in a few weeks. So there's nothing to report from earnings perspective right now. End of July, right? So I think that we look at like these type of earnings run-ups from here for Amazon, Microsoft, specifically Google made a big move recently. And then I think this looks like I have an extension already leveled out. Yeah, so this extension here, 465 to 470s on Microsoft is what I had already. So that puts 465 for Microsoft on deck near term. You can't really fight that one. Pretty clean. But again, buy on red days if you can find them. What do I think about MSTR, Randy? I think MSTR is a Ponzi, but I think it's financially manipulated. I don't think there's any argument there. Whether or not it's good, bad, or indifferent, that's up to you. I'm not a big MSTR fan. I'm an options trader, and options are very spready on this, meaning like you can buy it for an expensive dollar amount. Like let's say an option costs $500 on MicroStrat, and the stock goes nowhere, and I immediately change my mind. I don't want this anymore. If I were to immediately turn around and sell it, I would usually have to take like a 20+% haircut, boom, off the top. That's why I don't trade MSTR a whole lot. That's what we call that a bid-ask spread. So it's a little risky. If you're looking at equity, I think the market is going to treat this like Bitcoin for now. So, that is true. Like a Bitcoin proxy. This thing doesn't move on earnings. It should never really move on earnings. There are no earnings for MicroStrat, so that's kind of like a non-issue to me. But there are no earnings. Yeah, I think at this point the question is: would you rather Coinbase, Mara, real Bitcoin, Ethereum over MSTR? I just don't know. Quite frankly, I actually would rather the altcoin space like Solana Avalanche Ethereum over Bitcoin here. That's just me. But I think you have to chart Bitcoin itself. But this is where they're buying or they're basing. So as long as you're holding this level, you're not going lower. But, and here's what's important. The same thing is true. If you can't go higher, it needs to go lower first to collect more buyers. So what that means is that right now, it's 1271, could be that next point where they get really interested to buy again. And that's right around here, 1300, right? So that would be a retest of this area because it's not going higher right now. So that's what this looks like. That would technically complete what we call like another pattern. Would complete a little liquidity grab. At that point, then you're looking for that change in structure. You're looking for a new high. You don't just buy here because it gets here. You actually buy here. So you're looking for this to make a new high short term after it hits your 1300, and then you go long on the next higher low. Hopefully that helps. Man, how many are you guys still going? Holy crap. All right, AMD. I'm going to run through these. AMD was breaking out. It was a big breakout last week. But so if you're in the group, then you know. So what we just did on Mara is why that those first moves out of these consolidations are not always the best ones to go. And a lot of times they end up being a short. So we were just talking about Mara. So don't chase here. When I say they end up being a short, this is a short if it fails like that, only to become a long later. But how many percent is that? That's probably a lot of percent. That's a 10%. Think about that for a second. So sometimes what happens is that we wait a little bit to see that breakout retest. And what could happen is this is a fail, right? So that's why that first breakout isn't always the one that we go along on, but we watch it, right? So you watch it and you want to make sure that that higher low holds right in here. For now, you are testing this baseline support line. So it's still, basically, it's not a short here. It's still a neutral play, right? So here you're still looking to see if this accumulates. Look, AMD's never going to be NVIDIA. I don't think there's any question about that. What we just did is we completed what's called like a liquidity grab for a low volume pocket on the very near term. And so what I'm going to do is, if I'm just looking at this pre-market volume on Thursday, June 20th, this was a big move in the pre-market for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason was. Yeah, something happened here. And so this created what we call a fair value pocket from that pre-market, post-market session. Fair value this means that there was a large imbalance created. And that's in between here and here. And the market sometimes, not all the time, attempts to correct that imbalance, and it's now been corrected. So this actually doesn't look bad after this pullback now, but you're still in this very tight consolidation. I would still either you take it long, but you cut this short. When we talk about simple moving averages, these are very tight. They're still consolidating. I don't think this is ready to roll. This chart reminds me of Amazon a lot. When these simple moving averages get really tight, you get this, what looks like a breakout, and then push, and then you get another quick liquidity grab. And this here, this type of setup ends up being like your dip buy from a trading perspective. You get this like what we call like a double bottom. So look for something like this below those two simple moving averages on AMD from here, because otherwise, again, these simple moving averages very tight. When they're this tight, they're still getting tighter. You don't get a big breakout. It's not until they start to widen out like this that you finally got this breakout. And so even here, that's a nice trade, but it's a trade. It wasn't until this day that we started breaking out, and then you started to get this range expansion. So I think Amazon is going to break out, but whether it's today, tomorrow, this week, or next week, I think that's the question. And I think that becomes similar for AMD. So I would look at Amazon's chart, the way that those simple moving averages really like played out, and I would tend to expect that these start to continue to get a little tight and start chopping, but eventually you're going to get something like this, and that could be a couple weeks away. So this is something where you either take it as a day trade or you build into a position. Make sure. Will video go back to 140? I think so. I think so. She's coming down right now. What about the VIX? AMD long. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What is so B plus? What about the VIX? Is that rally on election year? Isn't that VIX rally on election year? It's possible. So what happens with the VIX? So you'll see moments in the market where both the indices rally with the VIX. And I think this is something important to note, is that if you see the VIX climbing higher quickly with the market breaking out in an active breakout, that is your yellow flag, right? That is the time you know that, okay, I need to start taking profits here. It's not definitively going to come, but when the VIX is green heavily and SPY, Qs, diamonds, IWM all green heavily, and SPY green heavily at the same time, that's the day you're looking for. That's the day you're looking for that's going to give you that yellow card, right? So just be aware that's possible. Volatility will increase for those back half contracts as we get closer to of the year contracts, as we get closer to the election. It just gets built in. I think we did DraftKings. Don't sleep on Uber. Yeah, Uber. I like Uber, but I think I liked it. I just don't know if it's ready to roll. This is continuation or consolidation. So we're clearly in this box. You get these pullbacks. So Uber, again, finally get this cross. I think this is a liquidity grab situation. I think this breaks out to the upside, but I think where and when you buy it is critical, right? I think if you get a red week on Uber, that's when you start to really like lean into it. So that said, I mean, I think she looks okay, but this is the level for me, 73.05. I needed like a day or two or weekly open and close above. And that looks good. Otherwise, liquidity grabs could be as low as that 50-day. And then you got earnings. This is going to be earnings trade. Sorry. So July, end of July. So you'll get it like about 2 weeks ahead of time. So maybe not this week, maybe the end of next week, start to look at Uber. I think this like liquidity grab inside of these areas. So liquidity grab means something that if you're looking at a chart and you see like this support area just below support is what we call like that liquidity grab, just below support. Because remember, if it can't go higher, it needs to go lower to get more buyers. And that's what I would be looking for on something like this. I would say this is stay bullish, right? But it would be like this is what you'd really be kind of looking for. So it was not a new high this last week. It was actually a lower high. So that's what we're looking at, basically in this between that 20 and 50 day simple moving average type level. But I think she goes. I just don't know if it's right now. Yeah, trade coin. Oh God. Palantir 26. Palantir was going to 28. I did that with the MIT. To me, this is a clean weekly like breakout. 2750 is your break level, and then where was the extension? I don't remember. But yeah, you're just building. This is actually a very bullish weekly chart. Very, very bullish. NET, holy moly. So NET, I think of all the overvalued tech companies, this is probably the most. But the market doesn't really care about that. They run on technicals. It's getting really tight. So we talked about these simple moving averages. I don't think she goes anywhere right now. So these are consolidating. Give this a couple weeks, and then she can move. You're right into overhead resistance right now. Meaning like here. You gotta be really careful. Right into resistance right now. Big recovery though. Big old recovery. So I think this is all she wrote for now. And then she goes into consolidation on NET. Personally. I could be wrong. Yeah, New Age Mastermind. Love it. Cool. Overslammed. Apple. Katrina. Apple's going higher. I said 10% on average, right? So my extensions on Apple is 240. I don't know if it's this week. I don't have it for this week, right? She is going. I've not trimmed. Holy camole, she is going. I guess you could trim. I have 220 calls for next week. I built in towards the end of last week, and I did my final ad on Friday at the buzzer. Look at this. Friday at the buzzer. So the reason I had that though is that this was where I was really looking to get in, right in here. And this is for our private group in the Discord. By the way, we are live. So if you don't have it, it's up there, right? papergains.com/links. You can subscribe. We are open. It says waitlist, I think, right now, but it's not. You can just hop in. But I was looking for this initially after this big pull up, like run up. We didn't even get, like, we got kind of there, but not really. And so after this, what I was looking at, and the reason I just boom hammered Friday at the close was it's really like this was that, to me, it was the definition of that liquidity grab. Here was that support. So look, you guys know I like a 30-minute chart. This is why, right? I can see where are they stepping in, right? Here. They gave it up right there, and they're kind of giving it up right here. And then they're like, no, I want this. So they bought. And so you would think that this 212 is support, but liquidity grab is like a quick breach of support. So if that was your support, a quick breach into a higher low. So at this point, I was looking at higher low. That's it. And so that's why I added right in there. And now we're back in, right? So you're here. This is the higher. So low, higher low. We're not out of the woods yet. So we don't have a new high. This is definitively still in consolidation. Let's not get ahead of our skis. We're not out of consolidation until we're over 220. But my calls are for next week for 220 in that event. That's what I'm looking for. But as we get close to it, then you would want to start to trim just to be safe, right? And so of this consolidation from this high to this low, the extension brings me to 240 right into here. That's target. And so that would look just like a measured move, really. If this was my consolidation, it's just a measured move. 233 first target, 227 first target. 233 is a full extension, and maximum upside is 240. That's 150% of this consolidation. So that's Apple for you. The chart supports it. I think this is the biggest layup of the week. I think you just stay long Apple. That and possibly Tesla on a dip buy if we get poor deliveries. Apple broke out of this two-year. She's long. I'm firm believer that this is a super cycle for Apple. Sorry. I bought these 250 January calls for like 60 cents. I don't even know, they were like $600 not that long ago. But yeah, I sold a good chunk, but I'm still long and strong, man. Aside from just this prior consolidation, even that this brings us to 235, 240s too. So if she gets to 240, look, I think that's it for the bit. Then we dip a little bit again, and then we have a September catalyst coming. But I think Apple is a heavy long in general. Keith, I think we went back. We went over Amazon, so a little late on that. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'm gonna call it. I appreciate everybody hopping in. You all rock. Thank you for the support. Again, if you're not part of the group, by all means, it's right there. papergains.com. Boom, right there. Hop on in. Love to have you. And I will see you on the next one. Cool. Adios, guys.